everyone, it's Monica. Welcome back to Homeschool Voices. In today's video, we're going to talk about the two major learning stages. If you have no idea what I'm talking about and you haven't been applying this information, then you need to listen to today's video because it has the potential for having a very positive impact on your homeschool. There's two major learning stages. The first stage I'm going to call the information junkie, and the second stage I'm going to call the philosopher. So the information junkie lasts up until approximately adolescence or puberty, and then the second stage, the philosopher, is puberty onward. So as it sounds, the information junkie loves to learn things, facts, interesting stuff, and you need to have an emphasis on interesting. Your kids, what they really excel at is storing information in their heads. Think about, let's just think of an extreme example when somebody's learning to talk. I mean, think about all of that information that they're just packing away, but it doesn't really stop. I mean, I think it's very noticeable when a kid is learning new words and they're adding like 10 words a day, but it's not really any different. They keep doing it actually. It's not that people aren't good at learning things after puberty. It's just that in that information junkie phase, they're especially good at it. The key is to make sure that the information is interesting and or useful. Now, you can get kids to remember things temporarily if they're not interesting. So you can get them to memorize things, take a test, and make it look like they have that information in their head. But test them on it in a week or two and see what happens. Almost always they will forget almost everything if the information was not interesting or useful. But if somebody tells you the parts to a plant, like, all the little parts to a plant or the stages that a butterfly goes through in its development, if that information was not really interesting to you, you will probably forget. What if my child has shown no interest in space whatsoever, but I think maybe I can get my kid a little bit interested? Kids are going to learn best when they're interested in something or the information is really useful to them. So if we focus on the interesting part right now, we're not necessarily going to stick on space if we can't get our kids interested. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of time. A lot of you are not going to believe me. A lot of you still are going to hold on to this idea that you can force information into somebody's head, but you cannot do it. You can't. They will memorize it temporarily and they will forget. So there's a couple ways to look at it. One is exposure. So I could expose my kids to space facts, right? But try to do it in an engaging way. Maybe I can spark an interest in space. Maybe I can do that. And if I do that, I will bring in more space stuff, material, books, documentaries, games, all of that stuff. If I cannot, I let it go for now. I let it go. I don't stick on it for 2 or 3 months and pretend that if I make my kid study the information and I test my kid on it, that they're actually going to retain the information. The philosopher stage is this time in a kid's life where they really want to dive deep and really develop a worldview and think about bigger issues. And they want to do more than just memorize facts. Yes, they can memorize facts, but they need to do more than that. So what happens in a typical public school is that they just continue trying to have kids memorize things. Here's a list of facts. Memorize these facts. We'll test you on those facts. Don't question them. Don't engage with the information. Just memorize it. We'll test you and then we'll move on and we'll do it over and over and over ad nauseum. That's such a disservice to an older kid who is in the philosopher stage because they need to develop a worldview. They need to spend a lot more of their time thinking and engaging. Let them grapple with those big ideas. Make that a bigger part of what they do. Try not to emphasize so much fact memorization for this stage. If you keep your kid in homeschool at this stage and you don't put your kid into a public school or a private school because you just have, this idea that you're incapable of teaching your kid, if you keep them in, you are going to have the most amazing conversations with your kid and you won't regret it. So if you just ask yourself, whenever you're looking at a curriculum or you're thinking about an approach to homeschooling, ask yourself, is this really appropriate to where my kid is at. Is my kid in that information junkie stage, or is my kid in the philosopher stage? Is this information useful or interesting? And that's a really, really big sticking point for a lot of people, because they want to think that they can follow a curriculum and that's what you're supposed to do. And really, in reality, that's like for the last 100 years, maybe a little more, that we've done things this way, right? If we need to treat our relationship with our kids more as a mentorship rather than a teacher, right? We're not so much teachers as we are mentors. We need to recognize where they're at and what they need right now, just like a coach would, like in any sport. A good coach says, here's where my kids are at, and here's what they need, and I am going to work on their weaknesses and develop their strengths. It's no different when you're teaching academics. I don't know why we treat it so differently. We act like everyone's the same, and when you're 8 years old, this is what you need to learn and how you need to learn it, right? So just ask yourself, is this material appropriate? So what we do in our homeschools, we do a literature-based approach. I have a description of a literature-based approach in the description below. It includes some planner pages that you can choose from. You just pick the one you like best and print out 36 copies for the year, and there's instructions there. But what it is it's a framework, and it gives you instructions on how long to spend reading certain things, how long to spend writing, how long to spend practicing math, and it gives you a couple of some flexibility for adding in some things like foreign language and music and whatever else you want to add. So that's how we do it, and it allows us to be flexible and follow my kids' interest, but still have discipline and structure. So that's the way that we do it. I really hope that this was helpful. I really hope that you guys apply this information, because I know that if you do, world is going to open up to you that you didn't know existed. You're going to start loving homeschool. You're going to feel more confident about the decisions that you make. Your kids are going to be so much happier because they're going to enjoy what they're doing a lot more. So if you like this video, guys, please click thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please click subscribe and the notification bell next to it. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.